I got my little, I'm
I
ready to go.
see the live button. It looks like we are actually positively live.
Live. Okay, I see it now. Yes.
Right. Great, great. So good day, good afternoon, good evening, depends on when you are watching this video. My name is Clara Lyons-DeVaughn, and I am the broker owner of Lyonsview Realty. We are a full service real estate company. We provide residential, commercial for small businesses and nonprofits, and property management services. Excited to announce coming soon Lyonsview Academy, which is our education branch. So, Lyonsview Realty Financial Fridays is committed to ensuring you have the resources, the information, the tips to assist you in making the best financial decisions now and in the future. Our commitment is to maximize your wealth building power, and we're here to help you stay current on those trends that impact your bottom line. So glad you tuned in today. Welcome back. For those of you who joined us this morning, we had a few technical difficulties. We had a great show. You just
Yes,
couldn't
we
see it.
did. This will
So
be our second go around this time. So
yes, I appreciate Nicole coming back. So feel free to like and share this video. If you have any questions, you can type them in the comment section. And Nicole and all of our guests are here to be a resource to you. So please feel free to ask any questions you have. And today, back for the second time, is our guest, Nicole Archibald from Investors Bank. Welcome, Nicole.
Thank you for having me again.
Awesome. Can you tell everybody a little bit about yourself?
So I am a loan officer with Investors Bank. So I help people prepare for home buying. And I also work with real estate agents like yourself.
Okay.
And just educating on the programs that we have available for, different client bases that you work with. And just to see, whatever programs we have would fit for certain clientele that you have, right? So if, Investors is good for down payment programs. Bank of America may be good for a different type of program. So I try to kind of network and get to know other people's programs so that if I do have a client, I can still refer them to someone if I can't help them particularly. So I also assist with some credit issues or questions and how the credit works. Because I know that's like a huge thing now. So I kind of dabble in that a little bit and just try to get information and keep people informed. So, and I hold a lot of hands throughout the first time home buyers process because first time home buyers have a lot more questions than experienced buyers. So I'm really, really great at that. And just kind of giving people the information every step of the way and letting them know where they're at and so on and so forth. So here I am.
Well, thank you. Appreciate you being here today. I've known Nicole, over a year now.
Yeah, it's going on 2 now.
Yeah, we are on the board of the Southern New Jersey chapter of the National Association of Real Estate Brokers. And we've also done transactions in the past. And she is exceptional, definitely great about staying in contact with the client and also has a heart for clients to make sure that what's going on with them is the best thing to be going on with them. And I appreciate that. I really do.
Thank you.
So,
Thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. So, this world is in a place that this generation has really never seen before. Our elders have seen this, but we haven't. My generation, your generation, we haven't. So it's a kind of a new experience for the rest of us. And we're being directed to self-isolate, from the rest of us. Basically that's having us reconnect with ourselves, reconnect with our family, reconnect with our inner circles. I saw you were having the parties, the after work parties with friends.
Figured out how to do like a group chat. So I had like 10 people on a group chat, people from my friends from Boston, North Carolina, California, everywhere. We were just all catching up. We hadn't spoken in a couple years. And I'm like, you know what? Now's the time. Everybody get your drinks. So we were just having a little happy hour on our own. And the call just kind of grew. Like we just kept adding people. So It was actually really fun. So I feel isolated, but I still feel connected to everybody. So I like that.
Really, really important. And, I want to like focus on the positive things. So we're reducing travel because people aren't in their cars, which is great for the environment,
It's great for me. I'm saving on gas. I haven't left in a week and I have to leave today to get dog food, but that's it. So
Yeah, save money on food, giving our lungs a break, the environment a break. And a lot of people are having a lot more personal time. And for some people, who have to go to work, we're using technology in so many different ways. So this season is definitely having an impact on all of us. I hope we look at the positive impact. And but this season, and I call it a season because this too shall pass, So in the meantime, we have to get through things, and we're going to talk today about how all of this is impacting the real estate industry, specifically the loan industry. So there's this stay-at-home order that's out there. So like on our side of the fence, a lot of the real estate companies have shut down. They have transitioned 100% to work at home. People are still going out on appointments, but they're practicing, the distance rule. For the most part, they're practicing.
I know it's like we got like an elbow dap instead of shaking hands now, but
exactly. Yeah. So how is all of this affecting how you do business?
So far, I mean, I normally work from home. I have a little home office set up. I'm not clearly sitting there because I'm, plugged up charging, but I usually work from home, and to me, it's comfortable for me. Like I told you before, some people are just having a hard time adjusting, getting, set up in their work office, and, certain things are certain places. So some people are struggling with that, but it is really eye-opening, I think, especially for certain lenders like Investors Bank and maybe a few other banks or lenders that maybe don't have the technology set up. They're kind of learning with this. And I feel like it's going to be an eye-opener as far as what technology can do for your business and what you should be investing in the future to be more productive. So as far as that's concerned, like, meeting customers, that has definitely slowed down because people are kind of stuck in the house. But, of course, people are calling about refinancing and have questions about that. So the only thing I can really do is just answer their questions and, start the application process if needed, and then just kind of guide them through what it's going to look like now going forward. As, we've kind of said before, things are touch and go, right? So we don't really know what's going to happen. So I just tell them, like, we're in it together. We're going to figure it out together. And that's all we can do is just do what we can.
Indeed. So did your company provide equipment? Because I know, having access to, that's been an issue, technology, for a lot of people, because some real estate professionals, one of the reasons they don't go into the office, or they do go into the office, is to use the equipment, the scanners, all of those things. So that's been a dapper on our side. But one of the questions that came up was around security, of the information. And I know earlier you were talking a little bit about the way you guys protect the information. You want to speak to that again, please?
Yeah, sure. So I have my laptop over there charging, but normally when we had to move around, there's certain protocols with the FDIC on how we're supposed to move our computers. So because we work remote, things are very secure on these work devices. So even with our phones, we have to enter passwords every time we want to check our work email, or like the face recognition if you have an iPhone or Android, whatever. But we had to enter like 3 passwords just to access this system to log in. So these passwords are complicated. As I said earlier, we do have our head of security. Personally, I love this guy. He's great. He works with the FBI, and he was telling us a lot about how VPN works. And you can even set these things up at home, like to protect yourself.
Wow.
So like your home internet and your home Wi-Fi, so that all of your information is protected. Because what happens is these hackers, if you are in an open network, if they, for God forbid, whatever reason, get access to your internet, they have access to everything that you have ever touched. They have access to all the information that's stored on your device. So even your cell phones are at risk. And you can also set up VPN information on your cell phone, which I personally don't, because I don't do too much stuff on my phone. I use it for like pictures, browsing, things like that. So I don't try to use it for any personal stuff, like as far as working with a customer, like getting documents,
Yeah.
I'll have them email it to me. But the one thing, as far as the technology is concerned, there are certain things, like certain documents that need to be printed with a wet signature, which means like a physical signature on the document that, maybe the government won't accept electronic for.
Yeah.
So that's the only thing we're kind of trying to find a workaround for at this time. But as far as protecting information and having those resources, I mean, everybody's doing the best that they can and working with what they have.
Yeah.
But again, I have to log into my my wireless portal, and then I have to log in through the VPN with an RSA token. So that token's a rotating, for those who don't know, is a rotating password, and it changes every like 30 seconds or so, I believe it is, and it's a 6-digit code. So I have to enter my own PIN plus the 6-digit code to log in, and then I'll have access to my systems.
Right.
So yeah, and then my laptop, it doesn't go to sleep. So if I want to leave or travel, I have to shut it down. Everything has to be turned off.
Yeah.
Because there's no sleep mode, which is a little annoying for me, but sometimes I have things that I didn't save and I just got to run out the office. But it's good because it teaches you safety, as far as, technology safety. And then, I have people's socials, I have their income, I have identity information that people can steal. So if something like that, if I have a breach of information, we take that very seriously. Sometimes if we're traveling between branches, we have to notify somebody if we have their physical paperwork with us, in case, God forbid, we get into an accident or something happens or something gets lost, so that it's tracked and it's not just on you. So now, like, my office assistant will know that I'm traveling with Mary Jo's, tax returns, and I'm going from point A to B. So we have to communicate that information too. So it's a lot of back end stuff that we do to protect our borrowers, our customers.
Yeah. Cybersecurity is very important. So it's good to hear you say, all of the precautions that are put into place, especially now that people are working from home, because people might think, oh, because you're working from home and not in the office, you don't have the same safeguards. So that's really important.
Yes.
Well, and there was something you said earlier about the wet signatures. Are they going to be, or have you been using notaries to go out and do wet signatures when they're required, so people don't have to come into the office, or how is that working?
So far, we haven't really overcame that just yet. The best thing we've been doing is kind of meeting in person, far away from each other, to get signatures done. Because, the notaries, they have to do their job, and their job requires them to witness things.
Right.
So that's been a little bit tough, but it's getting done. It just takes a little more time than normal, because, we're the American culture. We're about the hustle. We're about, getting things done as soon as we can. So for us, it's like the impatience, I think, is killing everybody more than actually getting the task done.
Gotcha.
We can do it. It just takes a little more time. That's all.
Yeah. So we work with people before, during, and after the sale. So how are you dealing with, pre-qualifications of clients during this time? How is
Well, the
it
pre-quals, I mean, so the banks right now, my sister is a banker, and she works for a credit union in Maryland. So I get information from her to see what they're doing and, compare it to what we have going on. But basically all the lobbies are closed for the banks. So you can't go in there just to make a deposit, socialize with your regular people, unfortunately, so that kind of takes away that factor. But the drive-throughs are still open if you need to conduct business at the banks. Now, if you do have to go in for a notary session or a closing, for example, then what would happen is you would just have to schedule an appointment. And what Investors is doing is we are scheduling appointments 72 hours in advance notice, so we can make sure everything's sanitized. We can make sure that the correct amount of people are around, and it's not anything additional that shouldn't be there, to ensure everybody's safety, because that's really what we're concerned about. And I am glad to report that we haven't had any cases reported within our organization. So we were definitely taking the right precautions to protect the customers as well as the staff.
Yeah, that's important. And I had a client who, one of the questions was, should I close? The closing was,
Yes, close if you can, close.
Yeah, I'm like, well, the other person has moved out of their property. They've moved on. You can move into your new home. There's no reason not to close. But their concern too was about the rates, which we're going to talk about in a minute. But on the pre-qualification side, what about income verification? What's going on with that?
So, okay. So like you were saying, you were asking before, right, about the pre-qualification. So I can pre-qualify anybody based off of whatever they tell me. So, it's basically a pre-qual. So there's 3 different steps. So you get the pre-qualification done, the pre-approval done, and then you get a credit approval. So the first step with the qualification means that you sat down with someone like myself, someone from a financial institution, a lending institution that can say, okay, what do you think your FICO score is? What is your income? What do you pay? So we can get like a ballpark or a gauge as to what your output is. So we can calculate your debt to income and give you a ballpark estimate of what you qualify for.
Right.
Now, the next step would be the pre-approval, meaning you provided the documents, your income documents. So we took a look at your pay stubs to see, what's on there. We took a look at your bank statements and really thoroughly looked at your credit report to say, hey, if you have any delinquencies or this maybe is a little, this balance is maybe too high. If you pay it down, you'll have a bigger budget to buy. So that's what the pre-approval stage is about. And then we basically run it through our automated system, the DU or the desktop underwriter or LP, if that's what you use. And that's kind of like an automated underwriting system. And what we'll do is we'll take those findings, and that's what gives us, that report is what gives us what we require for documents.
Okay.
So the basics are 2 months of pay stubs. I'm sorry, 2 most recent pay stubs, 2 months of bank statements, 2 years of your most recent W-2s, and then in some cases, not all cases, your tax returns. Okay. So those are the basic things that we're going to ask for. Now, if you have, specific situations like child support, divorce decrees, things like that, that will come later down the line. But once we run it and we can get an approval, you're generally good to go.
Okay.
And then the following step would be having all those documents provided. An underwriter took a look at it and they're checking off and saying, yes, we can lend to this person. You're free to go find a property, which is how I normally do business. I like to do what's called a TBD or to be disclosed address so that I get all those documents in. I do all the underwriting work first before I say, go look at a house, because I like to have my safety net covered first. And that way, it makes the customer feel more comfortable and confident in buying. And then the realtor can feel more comfortable in negotiating and doing their job.
Yeah. It's really, I appreciate it. And other real estate professionals appreciate it as well. In this environment, we're not showing houses that have people in them. If it's under contract or, for inspections or those types of things, that's still moving forward. But for new transactions, that's really, really slow down to just properties that are pretty much vacant. So there's still opportunities in that area, and also opportunities with investors. The big question that keeps coming up is about interest rates. So I got so many phone calls about this 0 interest rate.
I know. I was there. I had it too.
And I was like, no, I don't think you're going to have a 0 interest rate, but explain, the difference, explain what the 0 interest rate is really about. Yeah.
Of course. So as most people know, that the Federal Reserve has announced a 0% interest rate. So what that means is whenever you purchase a loan, it goes to what's called the secondary market for trading. So that's when your loan gets bought and sold by other lenders. And that's how basically the lenders make money off each other and the banks stay in play.
Yeah.
And that keeps the market stable for investors, because what happens is they put all these loans into a package and say you can make X amount of dollars if you invest X amount of dollars. And that's how people, make dividends and their income. So what happens is, in order to keep the market stable, the government has decided to issue the 0% interest trading rate for the back end portion of it, because they trade on their own interest rates, which are separate from the consumers. And what happens is, because a lot of these businesses are closing, a lot of businesses are losing customers and, losing a lot of their income, unfortunately, because of this pandemic. What they did was decide to dump a whole bunch of funding into the stock market to make sure that our market doesn't repeat what happened in 2008. Now, I will say that some things are kind of repeating themselves, because as we know, history repeats itself. However, I feel like they're doing a really great job in anticipating what's going to happen and trying to prevent these things. And, we're all in it together, we live, this is our livelihood. And everybody knows in America, if you don't have a job, it's hard to survive here. So we work off commissions most of us do. So if we don't have something figured out, then we all don't get paid. So they want to secure, like, these are tons of jobs that people could potentially lose if this market falls apart. So that's what that zero interest rate is all about. It's more for the trading, for the, back end business. And the consumers, unfortunately, have to suffer a little bit because of the fluctuation in the interest rates when it comes to the stock market and the trading. So thankfully, they haven't shot too much out of range. I mean, the highest I've seen is closer to the 6% area. And that's more for like investing, or maybe you have less than desirable credit, we'll say. But it's not like how it was years ago where the rates were in the 8, 9, and 12% range. You know what I mean? They're going to be unfavorable right now for most people because we've gotten used to the 3 to 4% range of interest rates. But at the end of the day, if you can get something, I would say below 5.5%, you're still in a good position. Yeah, because again, these things are temporary. You can always refinance your property in the future. But just to save yourself, and if you are in a tough spot and refinancing is your only option, just remember you're not stuck with it. You know what I mean? You can always fix it. Call your lender again and just see what your options are. But for right now, like I said, the rates aren't terrible. It's just like the whole points are coming back a little bit, depending on your profile. And the other thing that I wanted to mention too is that, because I've been on the phone with all my lender friends, like trying to get as much information as possible. So a lot of the guidelines are changing now. So some lenders, the bigger banks are a little bit more safe. However, a lot of the other lender brokers, they may have had some loans that are in play that they had to kill those deals because the guidelines are changing and they're just becoming too risky. So normally when you apply for a loan and you get something and you qualify and we give you that approval, that's normally what's called a QM loan, or, qualified mortgage, meaning it meets all the criteria for trading in general on the market. Now the non-QM, which means something that's a little bit out of the ordinary, like let's say you need a bank statement program where on paper you don't make so much because you own your business, but your income definitely shows what you make because a lot of business owners write things off. You will pay a bit of a higher interest rate for that because it's a riskier loan, but you can still get a loan that way. A lot of brokers right now are kind of pulling away from those programs because they might not be able to trade them soon. So that's the only caution that I would say. Just be careful, like with your finances when you're looking to buy, especially business owners. You need to be careful and protect yourself and get the information you need if you're looking to work with your real estate and stuff like that. Now, as far as the mortgage payments are concerned, because I know that was an issue before, the foreclosures and such are actually being postponed, as we all know. That's been announced. And I actually am a great resource for that because my neighbor is a paralegal for foreclosure attorneys.
Oh, wow.
So she's giving me kind of like the inside scoop and letting me know like things are really slow. But, I just told her like once this slows down, you guys are going to pick back up. But the other concern I received was, I had some customers that closed on their loans and their investment properties. So now they just closed, their mortgage is due in May. What do I do? And, they're concerned about making their mortgage payments. So my best advice for any of those people is if you have the funding, make your mortgage payment, because at the end of the day, you're the one who's responsible for it. And even though there is a global pandemic, you still have to pay these things. Like credit cards are still having to be paid, your rent, your mortgage, all those things need to be paid. So you just want to kind of financially prepare yourself. Now, in the event that something does happen and you fall on hard times and your tenants don't have the funding and you aren't working to pay your mortgage because of the situation, the best advice I can give you is to call your servicer. The sooner you call them and work out a deal, same thing like a credit card, a car payment. If you can't make that payment, and the lender doesn't know this, and you just don't make a payment, or even if you make, a quarter of that payment, at least you're showing an effort. So if you don't show any effort, they're going to assume you're just trying to, get over on somebody. But if you call them and say, hey, dude, look, I really have an issue. My income's cut in half. I didn't get this check this month. What can I do? Then they can defer your payments, and it's called the forbearance program. Now, some people can apply for it. it normally directly has to affect you. Like you have to be infected by the virus, God forbid that happens, and or your tenants or something like that. So, or like, a decrease in your income. So you still need to provide proof, almost like you're going through the loan process.
Right.
Obviously not in depth, not as in depth, but if you had the facts to back up, like, hey, I really need this help, then your lenders will work with you. Okay. Now, even if this wasn't the case, and this is just general knowledge now, if you couldn't make your mortgage payment because you were laid off your job or someone's on disability, got injured at work, whatever the case, then you can still contact your lender and say, hey, I need help. Like, I can't make this payment. I can only make my half payment.
Right.
Can we kind of add other payments? So there's definitely things the lenders will do to work with their, people, because that's not what the lenders want. They don't want to see people homeless, and they don't want you to see, we don't want to see people lose their homes. So we're here to help. And unfortunately, I can't speak for other lenders, but that's why I'm advising, like, if you have those concerns, just contact your mortgage provider and explain the situation or express your concerns, and they will tell you what the options are. I do know that there are other banks that are discussing these things now as far as mortgage payments are concerned, because this is growing every single second as we speak. So it's affecting all of us, and we all have to be prepared. So just do your due diligence, just reach out. Don't be embarrassed. Just say, hey, I can't make my payment. What are my options? And they'll tell you what you can do.
Yeah, the investors especially, because if they have tenants who've been laid off or on temporary, workflow stops, that impacts, money coming into those things. So it's good to know that, everybody is working towards different solutions, and each institution is doing different things. We've been trying to post as things come up because they change daily.
Yes, by every 5 minutes we're getting emails. Like, everything's different. Like I told you, my rates went up and down 5 times in a week, and we're still getting information on it every morning, every a couple hours, even sometimes twice in an hour. So it just really depends.
How do you deal with the rate locks then?
Oh my God, it stresses me out. I'm so stressed.
But people can still lock a rate. Like, when is the best time, would you say, to lock a rate if you're in the middle of a transaction now?
Yeah. So right now it depends. A lot of lenders, what they're doing is they are really just focusing on the pipeline that's already there. So if you've already started an application, you have a pre-approval, you've been looking, and now you got a contract in, let's say today, if we can lock your rate in, we'll do it. Some lenders are not able to lock rates because of the loan programs or because the guidelines changed. And now, yesterday, you had a 650 credit score, you had 5% down and all your closing costs. And today, the guidelines changed. So now we can't get that approval. So we just kind of are stuck in limbo, and we just got to wait it out. But as far as locking your interest rate, if you can lock it, I would definitely be cognizant of your contract terms, and I would advise real estate agents to kind of give as much time as possible to lead, the time leading up to closing for the lender, because of course we have all the information, we know what we're doing, but it's just, there's such an influx of people calling and information and businesses that are adjusting to working from home. So there's a lot of back end stuff that's going on that we can't just get to everything right away, unfortunately. But again, we're doing the best we can. So if you lock your rate for 60 days, I would always recommend that. It's cheaper. The less time you lock your rate, the less money it costs you, right? So I still am recommending to lock for the 60 days. Just allow yourself the time. If you get to closing earlier, that's great, because at the end of the day, you can't put a cost on your house, your home, where you're going to live. So if you can lock it for 60 days, do that. But just ensure that you're as far along in the process as possible so that you don't have any of those hiccups. And if you do have those hiccups, just try to get that documentation in if somebody asks for it, because it's first come, first serve in most organizations. So if, an underwriter takes a look and it took them 3 days to get to your file, and they say, I need an updated pay stub, or I can't read this, it's not legible, they'll give you like an hour to get it in. But if not, they're on to the next file, and then you're just back in the queue again. So you don't want to hold up yourself for something silly,
Right.
Especially now that we're all home. Like, I know we're working, but if you can get it, just get it in.
Right.
But as far as locking your rates, most people are okay and they're safe. It's just the newer people that are coming in. Again, it may take some more time because we're all trying to figure this out together. This is new for us. So we're kind of trying to figure out what's the best route for our customers as well as the company to be productive and get people into their home still. Now, as far as the mortgage process is concerned, I know we talked earlier about the appraiser. So
Yeah.
a lot of the appraisers are having issues because you don't want to let some strange person in your house to
Yeah.
take pictures.
Yeah.
You don't, and you're spraying them with Lysol and, um, like sanitizing before you get in like a hazmat suit. But um, thankfully, the appraisers understand, and some of them have been put on hold, but a lot of them are just giving the customer or the homeowner the list of items that they need from the property. And if they're willing, they will wait in their car kindly for you to go in and take some clear photographs of the footage that they need to complete their report. And once they receive that email, they'll just confirm and they drive off. So that's kind of what I've heard has been going on. Word on the street for loans that are in progress right now to get appraisals in. I haven't heard of them being on much of a delay. Usually an appraisal can take anywhere from 5 to 10 business days, but on average, we'll get back in about 5 days, I'll say.
Okay. Yeah. So the situation you talked about with the court. So if the documents that the title company needs to do the verification of title, or even if you have to do a verification of income, because I know you do it at several times during the transaction, right? The verification.
So throughout the transaction, once we submit the file to the processor, they start doing what we call order outs. So they'll start ordering out the VOE, they'll start ordering out and verifying inspections and things like that. And placing the order for the appraisal. Now, the one snag I will say that buyers should be prepared for is to prove your income, your consistent income, because at the end of the day, we need your 2 most recent pay stubs, whether it's your Social Security, whether it's your direct deposit or your little stub from your job,
right?
Or even if it's unemployment. If you're on unemployment, that's okay. If that's something to bridge you, if you're falling on hard times, I know a lot of hospitality people are dealing with that right now, construction workers, active people in those types of industries where they rely on that heavily throughout the year when their projects are on standby.
Right.
So that's nothing to be ashamed of. It's nothing to be afraid of. Just provide that documentation and we'll take it. But if we can't verify your income, then we cannot move forward with that process. So that's the only holdup that we have right now. So if your employer is willing to have your HR people still be available, which hopefully they should be if they're working from home like everyone else, give us that number. We'll call them. We'll call them to make sure that you're still employed, because we have to do a verification of employment and it has to be valid at least 10 days prior to closing. So we may have it done a few times if it takes 2 months to get a house or 2 months to get to closing for whatever reason. They'll be checking in the back end, in the background for that kind of stuff. So as long as you have somebody that we can contact to get that information and verify that you are still gainfully employed, then you have nothing to worry about. If you aren't gainfully employed and you're on unemployment, that's okay too. Just provide us with that paperwork.
Okay. So what other type of support are you providing to your clients during this period of social distancing? I'm assuming things have slowed down a little bit. I know it has for us.
Yeah, for sure. So I have just been really, trying to keep them informed, like having conversations like we are right now, like letting them know, like, hey, this is what I heard today. I'll do what I can to figure, get the information from the powers that be and, let you know what's going on and I'll deliver that information and just being emotionally supportive, like, especially if you're in the middle of a loan process and this stuff comes to a complete halt and you hit a brick wall, as a buyer, I can imagine what that feels like. You may have children, you may have, certain things that are in place that you're ready to move by a certain date. Right. So my hugest thing is to make sure that the customer is not in distress. So even if I don't have the answer, if you call me, I will pick up the phone. I will, just give me a window. If I don't pick up the phone, I'll normally call you back within a certain time, at least within an hour or two, or I'll shoot you a text and say, hey, I'll call you back at so-and-so time. Just to let you know, like, hey, I didn't forget about you. I'm still working. I'm on the phone or I'm getting more information or no, I don't have anything yet. As soon as I do, I'll give you a call. How are you doing? How are you holding up otherwise? I just try to keep like the mental balance down because I normally I don't show this to people, but I'll freak out when I hear certain things because this job's an emotional roller coaster. But I definitely try to keep it level-headed, especially for the customer, because I know this is a stressful transaction for them, especially at a time like right now. So that's what I've really been doing is just trying to be there for my customers and, just stay on top of things and deliver deliver them the information that I'm receiving from my upper management.
Indeed. Well, this has been a lot of information. I really want to thank you.
Oh, yeah. It's a lot.
Great.
Oh, there's one other thing I wanted to cover before we go.
Yes.
So I did speak with one of my other lenders, and I was informed that for business owners, the federal government's going to be implementing a program soon. I don't know the name or what they're going to call it, but basically what they're offering is a loan program that business owners can apply for, and there's no payments for 6 months. And after that 6 months, there will be an interest rate of 4.5% on a 10-year term in order for you to cover your payroll. So it's a strict payroll loan that business owners can apply for. So let's say you have $100,000 that you administer in checks for your payroll every month. You can apply for a $600,000 loan for 6 months, or as long as you think you need it for, and then you don't have to worry about payments for 6 months. Now, the only thing I would recommend if you are a business owner in that position, just take the money. If you can apply for it once it's available, I'll be more than happy to provide that information as soon as I get it. It's always good to have a backup plan so that you have that reserve there and your employees are safe and they're getting paid. And if you don't end up using that funding, you can always just pay it back. So if you don't touch any of it, you just pay it all back and there's no interest and you just pay whatever fees you need to pay, but it's a peace of mind that you can have for your company.
Indeed. Yeah, I heard about that as well. The Small Business Administration has, it's actually not new. It's for disaster and they're putting this season in that category. So the loan that they have is actually even more than payroll, your accounts receivables, all of those things as well. So
which I think is a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful thing to help support small businesses because, this is, again, everyone's livelihood. So whatever the government can do, if it's a resource, you take advantage of it. And if you don't need it, you just give it back.
Indeed.
That's all.
Indeed.
So.
Yeah, so this has been some really, really, really great information. So number one, stay safe, for our real estate professionals, our lenders, our clients, if you can work from home. Title companies. Please, clients, honor the distance rules. I know we get very comfortable with our clients. They get comfortable with us. They love us, but we want to honor.
We become friends, so it's hard.
Yeah, you want to honor the distance rules. Loan rates. You did some great information. Keep checking the rates and stay in close contact with your lender. And if you lock your rate at a rate that's good for you, that's the best thing. You should do that. In the process, be patient because things are going to take longer, but the benefits of your new investment in your property will far outweigh any inconvenience that you're experiencing right now. So to the future and the current homeowners, you can check our website for any updates on how financial institutions are responding. Things like Nicole said are changing daily. Each lender is different. So be sure to look for the updates. Nicole, could you share your information with our guests?
Yes, of course. So I am available on my cell phone at all hours of the day. I'm a night owl, so you can call me anytime. Up to like 12 o'clock at night. After that, I got to cut it off. But
you're gracious.
I work late, so. But yeah, you can reach me on my cell phone number. It's 609-203-3020. Very simple phone number. If you have a question, if you don't want to, if you want to be anonymous, just shoot me a text message. I'm more than happy to respond. If you just have a concern and don't know where to go, or if you need some direction, I'd be more than happy to help you. Because again, I represent Investors Bank, but I also work with other lenders and partner up with them in the instance that maybe your client or somebody can't qualify on something that I provide. But yes, feel free to text or call, and I'm here all the time. I'd be more than happy to provide any information that we discussed today. And then you can also find me on LinkedIn. I'm on LinkedIn. I'm very active there, and Facebook. So just Google my name, Nicole Archibald, and my cell phone number again is 609-203-3020.
Awesome. Thank you again, Nicole. So appreciate you coming on today. And for those of you who are watching live or you're on the replay, if you found this information useful, you can like and share it with others. If you're looking to sell, buy, invest, rent, or pursue a career in real estate, you can drop a message here on Facebook or you can make an appointment. Our email is info@lyonsviewrealty.com. You can call 629-0905. Here at Lyonsview, our vision is to provide you with resources, information, and tips to help you make the best decision to build your wealth now and in the future. This is Clara Lyons-DeVaughn with Nicole Archibald. Join us again live Friday, 9:30 a.m. Until then, keep living your best life. Thanks, Nicole.
Thank you.